The Hollow Ring, A Testament by Dr. Marcel Renaud, former theoretical physicist at CERN, written in seclusion, northern Finland. If you're reading this, it may already be too late. I was a man of science, rational, anchored. That was before I saw the truth at the center of the ring. I spent most of my adult life working at CERN, buried beneath kilometers of Earth, surrounded by wires, steel, and equations that touched the fabric of the cosmos. I believed in observation, in proof, in the comforting lie that the universe played by rules. In 2022, a series of data anomalies emerged from one of our lower energy test runs. The signal was faint, barely distinguishable from background noise, but it repeated every 13.6 seconds. A pattern, one that didn't match anything known to physics. That should have been the first sign. A week later, I was called into an off-book meeting with a man in a charcoal suit who was not a physicist. He spoke fluent French, but with an accent that didn't quite belong anywhere. His credentials were forged, elegantly so, but fake. He showed me a thin metal case lined with worn documents, some of which were in Latin, others in cuneiform, and one in my own handwriting. Except I had never written it. I stared at the page and felt the first knot of fear twist in my gut. "This is what you will help us recreate," he said. Project Erebos was never meant to appear on any official report. The funding came from somewhere between the EU black budget and what I can only call legacy groups. Old money, old oaths, cults masquerading as think tanks. I met their representatives only once. Their eyes were wrong, too wet, too still. They claimed to want to discover parallel dimensions, to expand our understanding of reality. But I think they already knew what they were looking for, or who. The Resonator was constructed beneath the main LHC loop, deeper than even the emergency schematics showed, carved out of ancient bedrock that had never felt the light. The entrance to the sublevel was hidden behind a false maintenance shaft. It smelled like mildew and old copper, even before the experiments began. Inside, the Resonator chamber was circular, humming with barely restrained power. At the center stood the apparatus, a lattice of obsidian-colored rods and crystalline nodes, pulsing with low-frequency vibrations even when powered down. They didn't call it a collider. They called it a key. The first successful activation occurred on October 13, 2024. We isolated the chamber, ensured all external systems were offline. Only the core team remained. There were 11 of us. Now, as far as I know, I'm the last one left. At 03:06 GMT, we brought the Resonator to full power. Space seemed to tighten around us. My vision tunneled. The air grew heavy and elastic, as if time itself had slowed in recoil. The apparatus began to glow, not with light, but with darkness. I don't mean absence of light. I mean it began to emit something our brains interpreted as pure black, like it was rewriting the concept of visibility. Then the fabric of the chamber split, not exploded, not tore. It peeled, like the skin of an orange. Behind it, another world. Not hell, not heaven. Those words are too human. It was geometry gone feral, cities of bones spiraling into infinite teeth, rivers that flowed upward, carrying crimson ichor filled with screaming, twitching things. There were towers, alive and watching, constructed from an alloy of sinew and sorrow, and they came through. The first one was like a spider, but wrong. It had too many legs and not enough joints. It clicked when it moved, not with sound, but in your mind. You didn't hear it, you knew it. It looked at Dr. Amsel and she stopped moving. Her eyes filled with blood. Then her skin peeled away in long, clean sheets, and something inside her took her place. It smiled at me without lips. Others followed. Some slithered. Some floated, trailing thoughts behind them like smoke. One of them stood still in the corner of the room and screamed inside our heads for 6 hours straight. We couldn't shut it out. We couldn't scream back. We just bled from our noses and begged for unconsciousness. They didn't just open a portal. They opened a wound, and something answered. We tried to shut it down. We reversed polarity, vented the quantum banks, even detonated emergency fail-safes. Nothing worked. The Resonator didn't run on power anymore. It fed off attention, off fear, off presence. Every eye that looked at it strengthened its connection to the other side. So we stopped looking. We turned the lights off. We blindfolded ourselves. We crawled out of that chamber like animals, screaming, bleeding, that some of us already not quite human anymore. I escaped. I don't remember how. I woke up 73 kilometers away, naked in a field, fingers raw and bloody. My left arm had something under the skin, moving. I cut it out with a rusted scalpel and burned it. It screamed as it died, not with sound, but with memory. They told the world it was an equipment malfunction, that 4 researchers died in a vacuum breach. Lies. They let it happen. Some of them wanted it to happen. They think they're in control, that they can learn from the things in the dark. But you don't learn from fire by opening your lungs to it. They're preparing to activate it again, soon. I saw the signs. I hear the dreams. They're not mine anymore. They belong to something else, and it wants out. If you're near Geneva, run. If you work in theoretical physics, quit. If someone hands you a file with a black serpent embossed on the cover, burn it. Then yourself. Because they are waiting behind the veil. And now they know we're here. Next time, they won't just come through. Next time, they'll stay.